programming competitions?
All right, guys, so I will do my best to talk to you guys about the programming competitions. So, programming competitions are exactly what they sound like. They vary in type of actual competitions and what you'll be exactly doing. Some of the more popular, larger ones that are hosted at Concordia include ConU Hacks, hosted by Hack Concordia, as well as the CS Games, Computer Science Games, which, similar to Eng Games, basically SES Concordia forms the teams that will be going to that. Um, they're amazing opportunities for people of all skill levels. So especially people who are in like SON, computer science, or even computer engineering. I highly recommend that you guys do either hackathons or you try your best to get into the computer science games, because not only do these competitions, and by the way, like when they say like hackathons and stuff, it's not like you're hacking into NASA or Google or something. You're creating and building projects with specifications that the companies usually who sponsored are asking for, and sometimes they're really simple and easy to do, and it's a great way to improve your skills, and it's a great way to build projects for your portfolio and put yourself out there for sponsors. And because these are the people who are going to be hiring you for either internships or full-time positions afterwards. So again, like if you are in computer science, computer engineering, or software engineering, I super strongly recommend that you could participate in the competitions, because I have so many friends who got jobs even outside of Canada, like working at Amazon, going to California, working in New York. And so again, that's about it. We'll be talking a little bit later about this more specific hack and computer science games, but yeah, that's programming in a nutshell.
I was gonna say I don't know if cursing is permissible here, but I was gonna say it's just a very good time to shoot the poop with a bunch of engineers and do a bunch of cool engineering stuff, right? It's a really fun time. I've personally never been to one, but I hear a lot of good things about it, and I wish that I've done such a thing in my university.
So I see a few questions. Okay, was about to ask what a hackathon is. Okay, yeah. So don't worry about. We'll be answering a little bit more about the what exactly the hackathon is and hackathons in general, as well as is the SES competition also a hackathon style event. So the computer science games is a little bit different from a hack, because hacks usually last between 24 hours to 48 hours, and you're competing as like solo teams, aka you're in a team of like 2 to 3, maybe 4 people max, and it's like you have like 24 hours to finish your project, and it's all concentrated in one day. Meanwhile, the computer science games is like a multi-day event going throughout like I'm not too sure exactly how many days. I think it's about 4 days, and there's tons of competitions during that weekend. So that's probably the difference. If I have next question. If I have very little prior programming knowledge, is it worth participating? Again, there's tons of competitions for even the most entry-level people, so never limit yourself by what you think you can't do, because remember, guys, like we all started somewhere. Everybody's a beginner at the beginning, and you don't have to be great to go and start doing a competition, but if you want to be great at programming and great at doing competitions, you got to start somewhere.
Nice. That question actually took off something that we have planned later on in the presentation. That's fine. That's fine.
My bad.
Participation is encouraged. No. Participation is encouraged. If you want to ask questions, ask questions.
Yeah, again,
Just
guys,
thinking about it.
especially for the programming competitions, I highly recommend that you talk to SES as well as Hack Concordia, because those are the guys who will be helping you out more and more with that. I'm more leaning towards industrial engineering, even though I do some programming on the side, but they're the ones who can answer super specific questions. I just have like the general knowledge.
All right, thank you, Matt. Now, actually, the next slide, simulation competitions. Abby, please.
So the simulation competition is similar to kind of a case competition, but for the simulation competition, you have to use an aid of a simulation of a process, and it's usually done using Arena, which is a specific software tool that you learn in Indo 311 during your bachelor's degree. And this competition is very, in structure, it's similar to a case competition as well. So you have the competition itself where you're given a case, you're supposed to find the optimal solution for the case, and then you're presenting your solution with the aid of your simulation to a set of judges, and where they will judge you based off of your soft skills and your technical skills in the competition. So it is very crucial that you emphasize on both of them. And it's followed by a Q&A where test is a lot of your soft skills, your ability to think on the spot, your ability to talk about your project, just to see your knowledge and just test out other questions that they have. And this is usually done in teams of 3, so it just allows each person to have one of their strengths and bring that to the table. And it's very important that during the competition itself, you pace yourself, you organize yourself, and you try to reach a solution that is optimal. Try to get to a solution. It doesn't matter about if it's the best solution or not. It's more about if you're able to attain some sort of solution that works for the competition itself. And something that's really cool about this type of competition is that it tests not just your soft skills or your thinking skills, it also tests a lot of your core, skills from what you learned in the class, because it's really heavily based off of INDU 311, which is a third-year industrial engineering course. So it's recommended that competitions usually done by third and fourth years. But as I said, it's just that if you know information about it, of course you're more than welcome to join, do this competition. And last year during our industry week, actually, we worked with Canada Post. So we use this type of competition or this type of knowledge in different sectors, even if we don't think that we might need it for something like Canada Post. So yeah, I highly recommend you guys going and looking at this more when you're going to your third and fourth years, just because it kind of encompasses a lot of factors in your degree.
That's very well put. And actually, I'd want to add, last year in the national conference, the National IISE conference, our simulation team won first place in the national simulation competition.
Over 10 other universities across all of eastern coast of Canada. So I think that's something that's amazing. And we do put a lot of effort into training and helping our competitors.
We do. Next off, design competitions.
All right, guys, so Matthew here. I'm going to be also talking about this slide. So design competitions. So design competitions are probably the most enveloping category that we have in this presentation, because it involves everything from the design of a rocket to go to space, to the design of a rover to go on the surface of Mars, to the design of cars to go race each other. So I'm covering basically what space and SAE do. There's also the design competition could vary so much. For example, at the engineering games and at CQI, by the way, in English is QEC, the Quebec Engineering Competition. It's another interprovincial, not interprovincial, but inter-university competition. Those are more like designing robots that complete certain tasks, for example, going around a course, picking up objectives, retrieving them, or perhaps programming so that the robot has to click a certain number of buttons in a certain sequence. And those competitions could last either from all the way to 4 months of preparation and like CNCing all your and 3D printing your robot to perfection, all the way to competitions that only last like 12 hours or even only 4 hours, where they're only giving you like wood and foam and your servos, and you have to, and probably your Arduino, Raspberry Pi, and you have to do all of the work right then and there. So again, the team sizes could vary very much depending on the competition. It could go to super large teams if you're working on, for example, like I know in Space and SAE, they literally have a whole divisions of their societies dedicated to one competition each, such as Baja and F1, and Space has like their rocket and their rover divisions. I think I'm missing a few, but that's, again, I'm just summarizing. And yeah, so the robots or the design has to basically stay within regulation, because there's going to be limits, and complete the course and get as many points as possible. I would like to point out probably one of the shining achievements for Concordia is the space rocketry division, and they won second place in the entire world against like universities like Berkeley and Harvard down in California, which was like super amazing, and they really put Concordia on the map. And yeah, so for example, Space, SAE, Eng Games, the ECA themselves, when they're hosting the pre-competitions for CQI, for example, there's tons and tons of chances to get into design competitions, and these competitions lean more towards like mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, software and computer engineers as well, because we need you guys to program the microprocessors. And yeah, it's a great way to get the robotics and design experience And again, companies love it when you do these competitions. So great on the CV, great for your project portfolio, and great for getting internships.
And even if you're not in any of the majors that particularly focuses on the building of or the design aspect of this, you could still join and help in managing the team, because that's something that is very big and anyone can do it, whether you're industrial, mechanical, electrical, building, it really doesn't matter. But there are usually positions for at least managing the team and the finances and etc. So don't be discouraged. There is a position for you if you're interested. Next off, others. So obviously with a lot of these very engineering focused competitions, there are also some competitions that are kind of in the peripheral. The first one that I want to talk about is the technical paper, which is offered by us in the IISc. So it's basically a chance for you to submit any technical paper that you're proud of, more often than not. With these competitions, the way they usually work is they'll ask for any technical paper and they'll grade it based off of certain criteria of what makes a good paper, the way you explain, the wording, the infographics, I guess. And that's how that competition works. And sometimes they do suggest a topic, and the paper that you submit has to be relevant to the topic. But it is something cool to partake in. And it's a chance to show off any paper you're proud of, because I definitely have a good amount of those. Next off is the debates. So the way debates work is usually you would have two groups, right? Two groups of two. One would represent the government and the other would represent an opposition. And with debates, usually you can't actually plan ahead what you're going to say because the prompt is given on the spot more often than not. And the government side has to basically defend why this ruling was put in place. Let's say, as an example, Matt used this example yesterday. I know it's a bad one, but let's say abortion. Abortion what is not acceptable no matter what the case is. So if that was the prompt, that means that the government would have to stand by it and say why this is how it is, and the opposition would have to come up with ways to rebuttal and argue why that isn't. And that's how debates usually function. They're offered by the ECA and at the CQI competitions, and Eng Games also does this for like a lot. And if you partake in the competitions that we have in Concordia, you can represent us in the debate teams in the national conferences that happen. Improv is a lot more fun, right? Eng Games, they do a lot of fun stuff, and improv is like improvisation games where they just improvise and have fun, right? With trivia, the topics related to trivia, there are a bunch of different topics. So it could sometimes be on, let's say, geography, or maybe something a little bit more fun like pop culture or Quebec culture specifically. That's one of the bigger ones in the trivia world amongst the universities. And those are really fun to partake in. Whether you know much or not, you might as well give it a shot. Why not? Meet new people, try to learn new stuff. It's always a good time.